Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, let's look at a few runs that I did through the arena today. And then we can also talk about some interviews that the director and producer did recently. Just all at once, they were released over the weekend, so we can kind of get some insight into how the game was created, and then maybe what's coming, and then also some insight into global as well. But I'll put a picture up of the producer and the director. The taller guy, he is the producer, Mr. Hirono, and then he was working for a long time. He kind of created Brave Exvius as well. And then the shorter guy is the director, Mr. Ogura. He is new to Square Enix, I think. He was hired maybe a year and a half ago, but there were 3 interviews done by 3 different magazines. The first one to talk about is Game Biz. Maybe this was the most interesting. But they talked about like sales and rankings and stuff. War of the Visions did take the Ape App Award for Most Popular Game of 2019, and that was voted on by the users, so that's a good sign for its popularity. As far as sales for the year, they were 5th overall, which is pretty amazing if you consider that the game only came out in November. Number 1 was Dragon Quest Walk. I haven't been following that game. I don't know if it's overseas or not. But yeah, it's pretty popular here. And then the director in particular, Mr. Ogura, he talked about creating a game where the player always has something to do, so that they're always busy. And you really do get a sense, from the JP players at least, that they always want something to do. And then this wasn't really a part of any of the interviews, but more kind of my feeling. But like the way that this game is being handled feels differently from Brave Exvius. I feel like this game is more sort of under the umbrella of Square, and then Gumi is like a collaborator. And I don't know, like the way that they listen to fans, the speed with which they communicate with people, and like the amount of rewards that they give just for no reason or to like apologize for like a bug or something is so much better than Brave Exvius. But yeah, I think this game is definitely going in the right direction. The director and the producer, they do admit that this is kind of a more complicated, busier, deeper game than Brave Exvius. And so there's like more complicated menus and things and like character evolution and all that. So they're kind of wondering like how to make the game a little bit more friendlier to light users. But they do talk about how a greater percent of the people that play this game, they spend money in the game as compared to other games or even Brave Exvius. And then maybe the most interesting insight of any of these interviews was that they revealed that although they're working on the global release of the game, they don't have a global specific team. The global game is being handled by the JP team, but with helpers. I'm assuming like translators and stuff. What does this mean? I don't know exactly. We're not going to know until the game is out. But it could mean that we could be optimistic about the future of global, because I feel like with Brave Exvius, there were some problems that came up that I kind of felt like came up from like maybe bad communication within the company or like within teams, and so lots of like poor decisions and also like bugs and things came up. They had to they implemented things and they had to take it back, that kind of thing. I feel like that's going to be less likely with the actual JP team working on the global release, and then also because the JP team is so good with rewards and communication and speed of updates and debugs and stuff that I think, yeah, we can be optimistic about the future of the global version. Next was the interview with Famitsu, and they talked more about the story of the game, which I'm enjoying, which a lot of people are enjoying, but I think could be better. I think so personally. I might talk about that in a future video. But the director, Mr. Hirono, he said he kind of regretted not putting more Brave Exvius characters at launch. At launch, there was Fina and Ayaka and Eileen and maybe some other people that I'm forgetting. Mr. Hirono wanted to put in more, but I don't think anybody minded too much, none of the players anyway. But they will be adding lots more Brave Exvius characters, of course. And then I think they have another event slated for March, so we'll see more Brave Exvius characters there. They didn't use the word collaboration, so these might be like permanent additions to the pool. But they put a lot of effort into the kind of the flavor text of the characters and like vision cards and stuff, so you can get a greater sense of like the world and the history by reading those. That kind of reminds me of Dark Souls. And then they do reveal that Gilgamesh of this game is the Frost Veritas that appears in Brave Exvius. And then his role in this game, War of the Visions, is still kind of unclear. We don't know who he is, we don't know what he's capable of, we don't know why he appears in this game. And then it's also revealed that he is traveling from the future. If you think about like the timelines of Brave Exvius and then War of the Visions, it wouldn't line up for Veritas of the Frost to just show up. But yeah, he's a time traveler, I guess. And then he's also the only one that can fly in the world of War of the Visions. The technology is still not there, so there's not even airships in War of the Visions. But that was kind of a choice for the kind of the feel of the game. Make it more like very historical, like way back in the past, more kind of a hard medieval feel, kind of like the Ogre Tactics or Final Fantasy Tactics. And then they also reference the relics in the game. Kind of the most like visible relic is the ring that Monto has, which can summon visions. And then according to Monto's father, Erude, he got that from Gilgamesh. But again, we don't know why Gilgamesh gave it, or if that's even the truth. And then we also know that there are other relics, but we don't quite know what they can do yet, or how many of them, or where they are. So there's that to look forward to in the story. And then we're here in Arena right now, but they talked about maybe like future Arena events where they put limits on character costs. So if we look at the characters in the character select screen, we can see they have different costs. URs generally have a cost of 80 or 70, and then the SSR characters have like 60 or 50. They might do a arena where you can only do like 60 or lower cost characters or something. So, but they did say that it's still the very early stages of the game, so they want to put the focus on the UR characters, get people kind of accustomed to the strength of them, and then maybe expand the game later, and then do more like SSR centric missions and things. I was never a fan of this in other games, not in Monster Strike, not in Brave Exvius. I don't care about like, 4-star or 5-star characters. But in this game they're fun, and they're pretty strong as well. Like the only disadvantage that they have is lower stats, but they have similar skills, similar jobs, that kind of thing. And then the last interview was the 4Gamer magazine. This was maybe the least interesting. It was also the one that I read the last. But they were saying that like tactics style games are not as popular on mobile. I kind of felt this before the game was ever released. I was wondering how this kind of play style would match with mobile, which kind of emphasizes grinding. But I think they've handled it well. They've kind of made the map smaller, they've lowered the number of characters on screen, they've made the battles faster, so I think it is working so far. And then they also talked about the story a little bit. The story of War of the Visions, they're aiming it at a kind of an older audience. Brave Exvius is aimed more at a younger audience. It's kind of a more straightforward story. You got a hero and he meets people and fights bad guys and things. But War of the Visions, there are different houses, and then it's kind of like Gundam, where nobody's right. Everybody has their own sense of right and wrong, their own sense of justice, their own things that they're fighting for. And so, yeah, everybody's fighting for themselves or what they believe in, and you can choose who you want to cheer for. But nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's kind of a lot of gray area. And then, yeah, other more kind of adult themes. But yeah, that's my summation of those 3 interviews that happened in those magazines. And then also a look at Arena. As we could see, my pair of Federica and Lucia were very strong. They're both gunners, which works really well with this map. And they can buff each other, raise the critical hit rate and that kind of thing. Salia I just put in there because if you put her in your team, you get a bonus to the medals. Her level's still pretty low, but yeah, I did finally pull her today, so I was very excited about that. Okay, I think that'll do it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.